right, so welcome to the Bearzi podcast for anyone that's watching or listening to this. This is episode number 33, and I have a reoccurring guest, my good friend Vergo from, I guess your YouTube channel is called Psychedelic Actualization. And we
Correct.
first chatted on the podcast on episode 18, which was roughly a year ago. And our podcast was super fun. I had like an amazing time, and I had to have you back on.
Yeah, a lot has happened since then in my life and probably in yours too.
Yeah, so I remember you were talking about on your channel that you were leaving YouTube for a while. You're going on this like super wild trip, and then you pre-recorded a bunch of videos right while you were gone, and then you had like a video when you came back, and I was like, instead of watching it, I wanted just like to talk to you in real time about that trip because that
Yeah.
must have been amazing, right? Like I want to know like where you went,
Uh-huh.
how was it? Like what was the whole idea behind this like massive trip?
Yeah, it was a huge trip. So the last time we talked, I was like in a new job kind of mine in sales. And just like a month or two later, I was just in that job for 3 months or something. My friend was like, I want to go to Portugal. You want to come with me? And I'm like, dude, I got this new job, but it resonates. Yeah, for sure. Why not? So I quit the job and we went on our trip from Germany to Portugal. And we stopped by a rainbow gathering in Spain, in the mountains of northern Spain. It was really beautiful location. You had to like from the last little village that was like 3 hours from the last city. You had to move like by foot 3 hours to a little location inside of a valley, inside the mountains. Beautiful location. So we stopped by there, and it was a beautiful gathering, and I met two really beautiful people there that I really connected with. And one was kind of a friend and a mentor. And when he told me about his journeys with, for example, psychedelics and what he's doing in his life and his vision for his life, I was like, I'm gonna go with that guy. I gotta travel with that. I gotta learn from him. And and so we kind of like had this idea in our mind that we want to travel together. But then our ways split again, and I went on with my other friend to Portugal. So our ways split again. We were like, oh, we're gonna see each other in a few weeks, maybe, or a month, or whatever. And I went with my other friend to Portugal. We were there at the beaches, Algarve, and then we went back to Spain. We were visiting some hippie villages and hippie beaches, and it was a really beautiful time, meeting a lot of really beautiful people. And then, oh, maybe for the viewers or listeners who don't know what a rainbow gathering is, do you know what it is?
No.
A rainbow gathering is like, it's difficult to describe, but I like to describe it as like just a bunch of different people of all kinds meeting in the middle of nature. Just meeting up. It's not like a real structured festival or structured event, but it's just like, it's called the Rainbow Family. So it's just like a bunch of traveling friends that are meeting up all around the world in nature. And there are like a few, no rules at all, but a few traditions that are like no alcohol, no electronics, no, I don't know, no shoes on the main fire or something like that. And it's really beautiful because there are like so many beautiful people that know so much, and so many different people too. So there are like those traveling homeless people with just a little bit of money. But there are also doctors that are coming and like just spending time together. And 2 times a day, there's a big meal together. Gets cooked for everybody, and it's for free. It's just like on a donation
Oh wow.
basis. So it's a nice concept. It's really beautiful. Of course, it's not free from problems or troubles. Like, I don't know, there are a few topics, like sometimes journalists get to know about it, and then the media comes with the electronics and cameras, and like just unkind behavior, like how to deal with these problems in these social environments with no rules at all. So it's really interesting. And in Spain there was a little one which I went to, like with 200 people, so it was a nice size. You kind of get to know everybody, you kind of see familiar faces. And once a year there's a world gathering and a European gathering. And the European gathering is when there are no gatherings elsewhere in Europe, but there's just one in Europe, and everybody was like coming to France, and France was the next month. When I was in Spain, the next month there was a gathering, this huge European gathering in France. And so everybody we met in Portugal and Spain, everybody was like, yeah, of course I'm going there. So we were building kind of a caravan to that huge gathering, and we arrived there a month later in the Pyrenees in France, 1,900 meters high in the mountains, really cold, in the middle of summer, but really, really, really cold. And yeah, it was a beautiful location. And I was there from the beginning, and there were like 100 people. And then every meal, like every day, there were 100, 200 more, 200 more, 200 more. So there were a bunch of people in the middle of nature. It was incredible. This was like also for me the first time I was like, what is this kind of gathering? Like, where does it come from? What are those people doing here? What is this concept or this philosophy about? Because it's really nice without electronics, just human to human connection, a lot of workshops, people that are masters in meditation teach meditation. You got to learn yoga, you got to learn whatever you want to. And there's just like this exchange of human value, and it's really nice. And full moon, there's like a full moon ceremony kind of, and it was the peak of this gathering, and it was insane. So just right before full moon, we were like 1,000 people or something, and then on the full moon night, everybody kind of arrived, and we were some people kind of counted the people there, and the guesswork is like we were 4,500 people gathering around with the biggest fire I've ever seen in my life, like a really nice structured fire that was like 20 meters high or something, with like trunks of trees were built, and then this main fire is going on the whole month. So a gathering is just like 1 month happening in a place, and you can go and arrive there and go whenever you want, but it's there like for a full moon cycle. So, and full moon is like the celebration, and then this huge fire with like a lot of drums, and even like a lot of talented musicians were there. So it was like the craziest live concert I've ever seen, for free. It was like 20 guys with like trumpets and saxophones playing while there was a fire show going on or something. It was just insanity, but really beautiful. And that's where I met this guy again that I met in Spain before. The same guy. Yeah, the same guy, the crazy guy that knows a lot about psychedelics, and I don't know how to make changa or DMT, or like has gone far out and was just like resonating also on a human to human connection. So that's where we met again, and on this gathering in France, we decided to go to Brazil together. So he's like traveling for 10 years now or something. Since he was 20 or 21, he left his home and was traveling all around the world. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come with you. So my plan originally was to go to Peru for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. But then the pandemic hit, Corona came, and I don't know what, I just didn't feel like going alone to this restricted country with whatever rules applied at this moment. But he was like, oh no, I've been traveling the whole time, everything is fine, we're gonna get through everything, it's just like, don't worry. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna trust you, you know, right? So we booked the flight to Brazil, and 2 weeks later I just went to Germany for a week to get my traveling pass and my visa.
Visa, yeah.
And then I went to Spain, where I met him again, and we flew to Sao Paulo, and then we went to Rio de Janeiro, and that's where the travel outside of Europe began. So Spain, Portugal, France was like 2 or 3 months, and then there were like another 4 or 5 months something in South America and Mexico. So yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
Holy.
Yeah.
That sounds like a once in a lifetime trip that you'll never forget. That sounds like an amazing life experience. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's interesting, and also what this traveling around did to me and what insights I gained from it was really amazing. Because when I went to Brazil, I went with an intention, right? I like to have an intention in mind, have my vision in mind, and go there for a reason. For example, I wanted to go to Peru because I wanted to do an ayahuasca retreat with a shaman. So because that's like in the context of my life purpose of where I want to go, where it's leading me. And this guy knew so much about psychedelics and about all these experiences. I was like, okay, I'm going to travel with him and see what he's doing in his life. So we went to Brazil, and the reason he also and me then went to Brazil was to make a little vacation. And it's so interesting to observe that. We were in Rio de Janeiro, beautiful city, had some nice experiences, and we were like doing this kind of sightseeing. It's like, oh, there's a Jesus. Okay, nice. Oh, there's this. Okay, nice. And then afterwards we were traveling to a little island, beautiful, paradisical beaches, like beautiful, beautiful nature. And we're laying there, drinking our coconuts. And we're both like, okay, nice. This is nice. Yeah. And then a day later we were like, I don't know, should we go? Like, we have a mission like to do in the jungle. We're gonna get to work, right? And that's what we did. So we were having constantly the feeling of like this resting in a vacation is not it. It's like living your life with a kind of vision and a meaning and working towards it. That is what gives me the fulfillment, because I also decided not to take my camera with me and not to film anything. So I didn't have that part of my work kind of that I could focus on. And then yeah, there was this kind of feeling of like this emptiness, this like not being fulfilled with this paradise all around me because there's nothing to do, because I wanted something to do. I wanted to have this intention that I went to the travel with being fulfilled and going towards that. So we went on our journey through Brazil for a month. We were in the mountains, which was really nice, in a little kind of alternative town named Vale do Capão in the Diamantinas, Chapatinas, I don't know the name, but but it was beautiful. That was a nice highlight. We got lost in the mountains too on a really high dose on LSD, which was
Jesus,
kind of dangerous, because I kind of slowly realized that this guy that I was traveling with, he's a crazy guy. His mind works differently, so he gets into a lot of dangerous situations. But it was interesting to observe that, and I had to kind of learn for myself to trust that he's guided and protected by God, because nothing is ever gonna happen to him. I had to learn that. First I was like, he was getting into insanely dangerous situations. I was like, this guy is crazy. He's gonna die from there, right? And then all of a sudden, in the last moments, he's always coming back and everything's fine. It's like so funny. But yeah, we wanted to search for the ayahuasca in Brazil, but that's not what we did, because he had a kind of a friend in Peru, kind of volunteering in an ayahuasca center there. And we're like, oh, that's nice. How convenient. We're gonna go there too. So we decided to take a boat from Brazil to Peru, 9 days through the Amazon on a little boat.
Oh my god.
And he was like, oh, all my friends told me this. This sounds so romantic. It's like 9 days on a boat through the Amazon, crossing the Amazon with our own hammocks on this boat. I was like, oh, sounds nice. Let's do it. So we did it. And then we were like on this loud little stinky boat with these indigenous people on it.
Oh my
close
God.
together, being stuck
What?
on a boat for 9 days. And it was just insanely boring, without internet connection.
That sounds awful.
It's awful. It was awful. I mean, it was also nice, but it was also kind of awful. But yeah, that's what we did. on the border to Peru, we realized, the border is closed. Like land and sea borders for Peru are closed because of COVID. We're like, okay, but we booked our ayahuasca retreat in Peru, so we're gonna get in somehow. So we sneaked into the boat and went to Peru for a month illegally.
Oh my god.
Which was kind
Oh
of
my God.
exciting, crazy,
Are you serious?
adrenaline. So we were in Peru for a month, in Iquitos, and that's where we did a 14-day ayahuasca retreat in the jungle, which was a really interesting experience. Maybe I can talk a little bit later about that. I haven't even talked about it on my channel, but I'm gonna do a whole
my
playlist to
God.
that because it's a
Wow.
really long story, and it was
Yeah.
one experience
God,
in
that's so
particular was quite insane and kind of even terrifying and traumatizing for me. So that happened. We were done with our ayahuasca retreat, went back to Brazil to book a flight from Colombia to Mexico because we were not allowed to fly from Peru because we had no visa for Peru. But Colombia was open.
Oh my god.
So we did that, and then we went to Mexico. And he is actually from Mexico, so in Mexico everything was kind of more smoothly because he had his car and a lot of friends that he knew in Mexico. And
Oh, okay. That's
then
good.
we were traveling 3 months in Mexico with like this World Rainbow Gathering at the end that was happening in December in Mexico, December 2021. And that was like the ending after I was just a month longer there in a little town with a couple of friends, and then I went back to Germany. So yeah, that was my traveling, 8 months in total. My first kind of big travel around. And yeah, a lot of interesting insights because I really felt like that I was missing something, that I didn't take my camera with me to kind of capture something and put it out on my channel or something. That was quite interesting. Also on these paradisical, beautiful places, I felt like this, it's not, it
Wow.
was nice, but also I felt like I wanted to progress on my journey of realizing my life purpose and the vision, and I felt like I could do it, I don't know, faster, like with more intention, you know? Like I didn't have a plan of where to go or where I was going. I was just going with the flow, and that was nice too. But like from now on, I think when I will be traveling, I want to have like intentions of places where to go and what to do that can bring me closer. Because there were these time periods where I was learning a lot. For example, the ayahuasca retreat. For example, learning to make the medicine. Like that is valuable for me on my path, and that were these valuable experiences.
Wow, that's amazing, dude. Oh my, I didn't know it was 8 months. I thought it was like 5 months, like maybe 6, but 8?
Yeah.
Like, you were gone for
Wow.
2/3 of the year, basically, on like a life journey, travel, mission, or whatever you want to call it. Like, you know what I like about you though, like when the first time I met you, is that you have this sort of like open-mindedness to the world, and you're not scared to look for happiness or look for fulfillment or search for your life meaning, right? And a lot of people, when you talk about these type of things, they think, oh, that's like in the woohoo bullshit mystical world, right? They're like, what do you mean you're searching for fulfillment or happiness? But like, I always felt like you're always this dude that's very open-minded when it comes to all kinds of things and aspects in your life. And when I heard that you're going on this trip, I was like, man, that's perfect for Virgo. Like that sounds like something you would do. And also ending up in like the Amazon, I guess you would say, doing an ayahuasca ceremony. Like, oh my gosh, that must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was definitely amazing, but it was also packed with a good dose of reality, of harsh reality, you know.
Well, that thing where you're on the boat and you don't have internet, it makes you, it gives you perspective, right? For how good we have it in developed world, in developed countries. You know,
Yeah,
we have food and safety and cell phones.
yeah.
Like life is so easy,
It's
right? But it's
crazy.
not until you're stuck on a boat for 9 days and you realize that, right?
Yeah, not just even that experience, but also like witnessing the lives of the people in these poor countries, like how their way of living and their way of making a living is. It's quite brutal, and sometimes how these indigenous people, like the Maya people in Mexico, how they are suppressed from the government, and everything is kind of taken from them, and that kind of develops a really toxic behavior from them, where they were like sending the kids on the streets just to sell something, or they're gonna stop you on the road just that you give them food. So it's wow, it was really interesting to observe, but also really valuable, really eye-opening to see like, oh, these people live in these little boxes built from a little just wooden planks just packed together, and that is it. But it also has something to it, because especially in Mexico they kind of have this, they have a, and in Brazil too, they have a different mentality, like as a culture they have a different mentality of being a little bit more easy, being a little bit more down to earth, like not so stressed and not so on point, but just like a little bit more relaxed and easygoing and making music and not being on point. And but it's yeah, it has upsides and downsides to it.
Yeah, for sure. I always think about like those countries that we, from our perspective, it looks like they have it tough. Like they're living in like these wooden shacks,
Mhm.
and they're, yes, they're like having a tough way to make a living. But at the same time, I feel like those type of people and cultures, they don't go through these social anxieties that we have, like
Mhm.
with worrying about social media and worrying about our Instagram statuses and likes and
Mhm.
all this. Like we have all these stupid artificial problems that
Yeah.
cause us like so much problems with our mental health, that I feel like a lot of these other communities and cultures that you saw on your trip, you know, they don't even have any of that type of stuff. So I feel like there's like a give and a take, right?
Mhm.
Like the technology and stuff is good, but also comes with really bad problems and
Yeah.
side effects at the same time, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and some of these people were so happy and fulfilled just in their way of living and surviving, and some were not. But most of them I found were like quite content with their way of living, of their way of making a living, not being afraid, or yeah, just doing the work they have to do to survive, to provide for their family, and that's just what they do. Like it's a different dimension of problems. We just have different problems. We get more into our heads, and we have these luxury problems of the survival is taken care of, and now we can move on to other problems. And for a lot of people this
Mm-hmm.
kind of develops into really unnecessary stupid problems, like the Instagram likes, for example. But also, if the survival is taken care of, like in our first world countries, we have the opportunity to focus on great visions, on nice problems that we can solve to make the world a little bit better. It's because we don't have to put so much effort and energy and attention into taking care of our survival. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everything, positive and negatives.
Yeah, for sure. Like even for me, like right now, complaining about like having a house and what color am I gonna paint the walls? And let's see
Yeah,
here. Like we
exactly.
were just painting
Yeah.
this past weekend. I'm like, oh, I hate these green walls. You gotta paint it. Like that's the definition of
Yeah.
first world problems, is getting anxiety over the color of your stupid wall, right? Like it, when you put that into perspective in the grand scheme of things,
Yes.
it seems so stupid to
Yes.
worry about something like that. That's so inconsequential, right? When it comes to like your life and your happiness and all this type of stuff. But I feel like again, it's like this perspective
Hmm.
is what you need, and you can only see that when you go out and experience new
Hmm.
things and see all these other like beautiful countries and cultures that you saw. And it's crazy because I don't think I've been to any of the countries that you listed,
Hmm.
like Portugal, France, Peru, Brazil. Oh no, Mexico. I went to Mexico Did I? No, I didn't. No, I never went to Mexico. I never went to any of those
No.
countries that you said. So it's like brand new experiences, even from my point of
Yeah.
view, just listening to your story.
Yeah.
It's definitely eye opening.
Yeah, some little, like in Mexico and some regions, they don't even have like clear, clean water. I mean, we can just sometimes go to a tap and drink it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in one place, in one city, for example, I was told, "Oh, you're gonna be careful. Please don't brush your teeth with that tap water because you're gonna get sick." And I was like, "What?
Really?
This is insane." Yeah, and then sometimes you gotta wait like a few days to get your water delivered because they're just like so chilled out in in their way of providing. And it's interesting.
That's crazy. So you couldn't even brush your teeth with the tap water. Just like the water, the residue on the toothbrush was enough for you to get sick.
I don't know. I mean, I did, and I got sick too, but not too bad. But a couple of friends of mine got sick really really bad, like with a lot of parasites and something. And
Oh my gosh. Did you do a lot of like? I'm assuming you saved up a ton of money beforehand, but did you do any like medical injections like Ducarol, like travelers prescription medication? Like, did you do any of that type of stuff before
I
you
did
went?
nothing. Nothing.
Nothing?
at all.
Oh my god.
I did nothing.
What if you got like malaria or something?
That's what I I didn't care about. I didn't have time for that. I was in France, and then 2 weeks later I gotta go to Spain to fly to Brazil. But also what gave me a little bit of reassurance was at these gatherings I met some similar minded crazy people who were like, yeah, I lived in Ecuador for 4 years, and if you're gonna get something like that in the jungle, they have medicine, they have plans for that. Like, they don't care about it.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's so crazy. Are you serious?
I am, yeah.
Because a couple years ago when I went to Asia, I guess specifically it's because I went to Thailand. Like Thailand has like that very hot, humid jungle type of climate, and you needed to take like Ducarol, travelers, like the diarrhea medication, and then there was like typhoid medication and malaria. Like there's all these things that you can get. I had to take all these prescription drugs just to go to the country. But I'm like, and you're just like, YOLO, I'm good. My body will handle it.
I'm gonna be taken care of. I mean, I wouldn't advise anybody to do that. It is kind of risky to do that and to live like that. But
Dude, that sounds insane. Oh my
Yeah.
god. I'm dying right now. You're brave, bro. Holy shit.
yeah,
That's so funny. So which country was your favorite, I guess I would say? Like which was like the one that you would love to go back to?
I think if I would choose one, it would be Mexico. But
Really?
I wouldn't like even. I didn't even think of Mexico being so nice. I was like, I never planned to go to Mexico. Mexico was like really far down on my list of like places I wanted to travel to. But the insight into the culture and into just like the land I got from my friend who came from Mexico, who's living in Mexico, was like really nice, because we went to all those secret places, secret waterfalls, and like he just knew and was like the perfect guide for me for Mexico. So Mexico really was really amazing. And in Brazil and Peru, we were like just like exploring together. I mean, in Peru, I was just like in this one place in Iquitos, so I cannot say a lot about Peru. But what I can say is, for me, I think it's not just about the country, because I had a really nice, life-changing, valuable insight on my travels, of like a place I want to settle down and live. Because when I was leaving Germany, I was like, I'm gonna be on the outlook. I mean, I'm quite young. I'm not settling down yet, but I'm gonna be on an outlook of a place where I want to spend the rest of my life, like as a base, as a place to live. And so every place and every city we went to, I was like, could I imagine living here for the rest of my life? And having this question in mind for every place I was going to. And what I discovered for myself was 2 places in particular were like standing out, extremely standing out in a really positive way. And that was like Vale do Capão, this little alternative town in the middle of the mountains of Brazil, and Mazunte in Oaxaca in Mexico, on the beach, on the Pacific side, I guess. So those 2 places really, I really fell in love with them, because there was like, it was not just about the beautiful nature around, but what I discovered is it was like the vibe of the place and of the people that were there. So in Mazunte, for example, there were just a bunch of like-minded people. It was full of travelers. It was full of travelers that settled down there. It was full of like-minded people that were also into spirituality. So there were a lot of yoga retreats. There's kind of every day there's something going on. If it's a reggae party or ecstatic dance, or like walking on a slack line, or making jam sessions every evening on the beach while watching the most beautiful sunsets on Earth, and 365 days a year, 35 degrees and sunshine. So those were like things that resonated with me. And I was like, for those 2 places, it was like the value of the people that were there, and just the place in general, and the energy of the place. There was like, oh yeah, I could imagine settling down here. I could imagine spending the rest of my life in this place. And so that's kind of my plan for traveling. When I will be traveling in the future, I was like, I'm gonna search for those places, because those big cities, I don't really resonate with those big cities. Or I mean, being completely in nature is also nice, but what I found is like these little towns, just with a few hundred people maybe, or few, like this one town was just like 2 streets, and that was it basically. There were like two main streets, and that's where you meet everybody, because it's so little. It's not a real community, but it's a sense of community that was kind of created by how the place is structured. Because there's this one place everybody goes to see the sunset, and so even though I was just there for a couple of weeks, you see familiar faces, and you kind of, everybody gets to know each other, and it's a sense of connection and community between the people that are spending time in this place. And that was so nice, because everybody was such a nice person, and such an interesting and deep and just a really loving person. So that's what I want to do for the future travels. I want to like seek out more of those places that I know now I love and that I want to settle down in, and then I gotta explore a bunch of those, maybe in Thailand, India, New Zealand, Hawaii, or whatever, and see what resonates most, and then settle down and build a base in one of those places.
Wow,
because I don't want to.
I
don't think I want to spend the rest of my life in Germany, because it's cold most of the time.
Oh, dude, same thing here in Toronto. It's freaking freezing. The weather's horrible for like what, 8 months of the year, 7 months. Like the weather is terrible. We get like a super hot 2-month summer, 2.5 month summer, and then that's pretty much it. But I know what you mean about about Germany, because like the weather is fairly simple. Like it's not simple, similar. And I've been to Germany a couple times in the past, and my father, he's European, so I've been to Italy, Austria, Germany, Switzerland, like that whole area. And it's funny because I think I've talked to 3 or 4 different people on my podcast from Germany, and there's always like this, I don't know what it is, this ambition to see the world, an ambition to do stuff outside of Germany. And I'm like, is Germany like too good of a place to be in, or is it just boring, or you're just like, it's way too cold? Like, why do I keep seeing this like reoccurring pattern of people from Germany wanting to branch out into the world?
I mean, I think it's just a question of personal preference. I mean, everybody's different. Some people love it here in Germany.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, Germany is beautiful. Like, I also talk to a lot of friends here and a lot of Germans, and a lot have this kind of dream of traveling the world and breaking out and leaving Germany. But I'm like, did you even go travel in Germany? I was like, no. Why? Why should I? I was
Exactly. Yeah.
it's insane. When I started to just look into my environment, just like these little forests I've got in these little towns here in Germany, or into the mountains, or I mean, there are so many beautiful places, I think, in every country of the world. And it's just a matter of personal preference and also perspective. I could see like why people appreciate having 4 seasons. It's super nice to have winter, and then the winter is cold, and then now spring is over kind of, and spring is like so beautiful. Everything's blossoming, everything is green, the air is fresh, but it's also nice and warm. Summer is hot, autumn, it has a beautiful vibe to it, the 4 seasons, and also beautiful places here in Germany. So nothing wrong with Germany, but for me personally, I have the personal preference of sun, chasing the sun, being in a warm, nice place, not having to wear so much clothes, because I just like to sweat more than I like to freeze. So
yeah, I know what you mean, because I have the same issue in Canada, right? It's like I appreciate the seasons, like you said, because when summer comes, I remember those negative 20 degrees Celsius days where homeless people are dying on the sidewalk because it's bone chilling cold. Like, I remember those cold days, so I appreciate the summer more, and I enjoy the spring and I enjoy the fall. But the period in which you have the cold weather, it's just too long. Like it just lasts too long, right? I wish there was more like balance. And I know how you say you're traveling with the intention of finding a home base, where for me it's kind of like the opposite. I've found my home base here in Canada, and like in the city that I moved to. Like I just moved like a couple weeks ago, but I found like my city that I want to stay in and I want to live in. But for me, traveling is, I want to find those places that I can go to that are super warm, super nice during those periods in the winter, so I can like reduce that winter stretch, right? Because it's too long, bro. It's just, and like you said, something about the sun, it makes you happy, right? You feel better, you wake up like energized, and there's something about that, just being in nature and being in like sunlight. I feel like it's just good for the human body and soul.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's also an option for me, I think, for the next foreseeing future, is like traveling in the winter time, being here in the summertime. But I mean, I went from September till January, February, to South America, and when I was coming back, I was like, it's almost February, it's gonna be warm, it's gonna be spring in March or April or May. It was freezing cold till the end of April here. I mean, cold for me. It's not like minus 20 degrees, but it's I don't know, even 10 degrees is too cold for me.
Yeah, it's tough, man. But like with the whole traveling thing, and I know that I've been following like your YouTube channel for a while, and like the growth of your community and all this stuff. But I was wondering, is your dream or ambition of like growing the YouTube channel and so you can achieve this status of being like a digital nomad, so that you can live and you can travel? Is this like part of your whole intention behind your channel?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not 100% clear on that, because I've got a couple of different feelings. So the intention of starting the channel was just like to start something. I had this like kind of idea or vision, which I still have, which is, I don't know how far into the future, but of like having and leading my own psychedelic retreat center with good preparation, ceremonies of all kinds of psychedelics and integration, and also workshops and whatever. That is a huge, huge, huge vision. Or like kind of being a shaman, being a kind of facilitator for these healing medicines. So that is the path I want to go down. And I have doubts about it, which I come to when we speak about my ayahuasca retreat maybe. But that's the vision, and I started the channel just to document my journey of following and realizing that vision. And so now we kind of have a little community there. I mean, 2,000 subscribers. It's insane for me how fast this grows.
Man,
like,
it's going quick.
I mean, last time we spoke, I don't know how much subscribers did I have? Like 500, 700 maybe. So not.
Yeah, you had a couple hundred, I think.
Yeah,
so, give or take, something
but not
like
even
that.
1,000.
I
And
can't
then when
remember.
I was on the ayahuasca retreat in October, we reached 1,000, and now we reached 2,000. So it goes fast. It's nice that it's resonating, and of course I'm also putting the kind of intention into it of growing it, because I want to see it grow, you know. And so I study about YouTube and the mechanisms of the algorithm and how to hook people in and like all these kinds of stuff. So of course I'm doing that. And it is, so the main vision is not for me to have the status of a digital nomad. That's not what it's about. For me, the intention behind it was to start documenting the journey of my life purpose. And now as it develops, this kind of channel became part of the vision kind of for this psychedelic retreat center, and this community and the connections that were created from that are just so amazing that I wanted to implement that into the vision and just like use it as a platform for education, for just sharing my insights and my knowledge and helping people along their way. So the main focus now is just like providing, just giving value, trying to help people, trying to open the minds of people, trying to let them see how it is to have like a DMT ceremony life or whatever it is, right? Like sharing my experiences in the hope that somebody can take a little bit of value for their own life. So that is the main focus now, just like providing value and like realizing the vision, and just like educating people and helping people in their psychedelic actualization, like their psychedelic preparation, ceremonies, integration, their spiritual development, their self-realization. Just like whatever I'm interested in, I'm going to share it, and just like living an authentic and fulfilling life. That's what I say in every one of my videos. That's what my life is about, and that's what I can kind of share, or what I try to share, and what I try to help people with. And then the third part is like, oh, okay, and I could maybe someday make some money from it, so I can maybe even live from it. And I had a really interesting conversation about that with Curtis Childs from the channel Of the Left Eye. It was like the first interview I did, because one of his members of his team came to me and he was like, oh, you want to do a podcast with Curtis? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? It's like from this Swedenborg Foundation. I was like, okay, why not? And he's doing a podcast with a lot of people. And I was talking to him about it, like of this issue of realizing my life purpose, not yet being able to provide for myself from my life purpose, because I gotta go to work now and work in a 9-to-5 jobs. I'm working in a restaurant as a waiter right now, so that's what I do just to survive, basically. And he was like giving me a really interesting insight about that. He was like, when you go all in to your life purpose and you give so much that you receive back the money from the value that you give, and you kind of are able to quit your 9-to-5 jobs to focus fully on providing value for the vision, then that is not a selfish thing, but that is the most selfless thing you can do, because you do it for the overall good of everybody. So you receiving money to survive for the work that you're that you're putting out is just helping you to have more free time and energy and space to put out more attention into that, and put out more value into the world selflessly, like to help other people and be of service. And that was like a moment where it clicked to me. It's like, right, I don't have to feel bad about it, of like now building something up. And I don't know how long it's gonna take. I don't care how long it's gonna take. Of course, I try to focus and build ways of providing information. I mean, till today, I haven't made a cent or a euro with YouTube or any of that stuff. But I mean, that is a possibility, which is kind of nice, which allows me then to travel again to the Amazon, to speak with the shamans, to interview them, maybe even with the camera, to provide more value, to get deeper insights, to journey deeper within myself, so I can share deeper insights and knowledge with the world.
I like that. See, you have, like, I talk about this topic and idea with a lot of other content creators, especially on this podcast, because I'm always looking if the intent is coming from a good place. Like, are you doing the work just for numbers, for subscribers, or for metrics, or are you doing it because you love it, or are you doing it because you want to help people, or you want to provide value to people? And there was like this really interesting idea I heard once, where it's like, when you create a YouTube channel or start a business or a podcast, you don't want to chase the money, right? You want to chase the passion. And then if you do, over a long enough period of time, the money will chase you. And if you just think about the money and just put that in like the back rear of your mirror, and like don't really think about that, but just keep grinding and just keep showing up and keep posting and keep being consistent, but do it from a place of passion and love, right? Because that is what will resonate with people. And again, this is sort of why I wanted to have you on the podcast again, because I follow your channel. I try to watch a video here and there when I can. And I always see that like your message is not only just psychedelics, but there's also like this positivity. There's this fulfillment. There's this open-mindedness that you have. And when I watch you speak, it feels authentic to me. It's not like you're trying to make some bullshit video just to try to get metrics, right? I feel the authenticity from like another content creator's perspective. And I think that, especially for someone like you, I love that you have this grand vision of maybe being a shaman or having like a psychedelic facility when you can provide these medicines to help people in a safe environment, because like that is something I 100% believe in. Because even for me as a content creator, I am a huge supporter of psychedelics, because they have helped me in not just like personal ways, but in creative ways, like my writing, but my speaking, my anxieties, and even just creating content. Like, man, psychedelics, it's such an amazing thing, but unfortunately it's like so demonized by the corporate world and demonized by the media. And it's like, I wish there was ways that we could get rid of that, right? And then now that I hear that you have this grand vision of being one of these people to promote these concepts and medicines and lift this whole idea up, right? It just sounds amazing to me. And I hope that even though like the digital nomad is not a goal for you, but I feel like once your channel can build and get going, and then once the money chases you, then you can get rid of the stupid day job and the waiter job, and I can get rid of my crappy courier job, and then we can just do what we love. And I feel like that is what fulfillment is in the world, right?
I mean, fulfillment is found everywhere along the journey. Like, to enjoy the journey is the most important part. It's not about the goal. It's not about the destination. It's just like, what I was thinking about today while I was running was really interesting. It's like this grand vision and this life purpose that I created for myself. I think it's something, the vision and the meaning is something we create for ourselves as a personality, as a human. Like overall, from the grander perspective of the absolute, it's meaningless. Everything is meaningless. It's just a play. There's no meaning in any of it. But what I was thinking about today is like this vision And this meaning, the self-created meaning, is what gives me the drive to move on, and the absolute knowing of the understanding of the truth that everything is kind of, it still doesn't matter in the end, gives me this kind of ease in the bag of my being. It's like I can thrive towards realizing that vision with all I've got, because this is what life is, with the ease of having not to worry about anything, because it doesn't matter in the end.
Yeah, I like that. It's tough, man. Like I really resonated with that point where you said it's like the journey is just as important. It's not just about the destination, right? And I feel like that concept is lost on so many people, because everyone is thinking about, getting monetized, or getting the whatever YouTube plaque, or getting the the big contract or job or money. Like there's always like this focus on the materialistic end goal, and you never appreciate the moment and the grind, right? And it's something that I'm guilty of too myself, because I'm always pushing, right? And I'm sure that you've seen some of the videos that I talk about, where I'm always promoting this idea of self-improvement right now, and I want to find ways to get other people, and I guess my target audience is more like younger men, I guess, like in the 18 to 25-ish range. Like I'm trying to target these group of men that are just like getting addicted to video games, getting addicted to social media, getting addicted to Netflix, and just always worrying about what they don't have, and just get in this niche of self-improvement where you can work on your mental health, you can work on your physical health, you can work on your mindset, and then you can figure out what do you want to do in this world, like what makes you happy, and enjoy the process of growth, right? And that for me is what's so addicting, is when I look back at my journey. And this is what I love about YouTube. I can look back at my videos from 2019, and I can see like my face was thicker, I didn't speak as fluidly, like there's all these like problems that I had in the past where I'm like, wow, okay, so that was where I was then, and this is where I am now. Okay, what am I going to be like in 2025, right? And that process, that progression is something that I love, and it's like an idea that I want to promote with other not just content creators, but like other people, and maybe that's like the type of community that I'm trying to build. It's sort of similar to yours, but not quite the same.
That's beautiful, to have that target audience, to know what you're doing. And I like your videos. You tried out shorts like for a few months now, right? How's that going? Because I don't know what I think about shorts. It's interesting. I thought like 2 or 3 or 4 of them like popped up and got like kind of taken on from the algorithm. But the other ones were like not so much, because on one of my German channels I'm doing with my friend, we were also trying out these shorts, and they're not working at all on YouTube. But for example, on Instagram or on TikTok, they're like, some of them just blow up, and it's interesting to observe that.
Yeah, so let me give you some information about why, because this is very important. And I talked about this during one of my live streams. There's another guy, another content creator who was on this podcast, and he was like, "Hey man, how come you're making shorts now?" So I shared this story, and I love to share information that can not just help me but help other people. And I hate this idea of competition, where you don't want to share some information about YouTube because someone else might succeed and you won't. Like I hate that like negative way of thinking. But so what happened is I have 2 friends that are very successful on YouTube. Both have over 100,000 subscribers. One is one of my best friends that I've known from elementary school, and another was a kid from New York who came on my podcast with 1,000 subscribers, and then a month later he blew up to like 100,000. So I have these 2 people in my inner circle that I talk to about YouTube and stuff. And my best friend, he got invited to the Samsung Galaxy event in New York, and it was hosted by YouTube and those content creators Colin and Samir. I don't know if you know those guys, but they hosted this event centered around the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra phone. And so he went, and I saw one of his Instagram Snapchats, and not Snapchat, Instagram. What's that
Stories?
circle?
Yeah,
The
it's
story.
Uh-huh.
Yes, a story, and it was him in the audience, and he was recording Colin and Samir speaking on the stage, and then right beside his story was my other friend Ryan's story, and I clicked his, and it was the exact same thing of Colin and Samir talking on stage in this event, and but they're just in different angles in the audience. And so naturally, I wanted to talk to them after. Oh, how was the YouTube event, right? And so they went with the intention that okay, this is going to be about YouTube, about the growth, about analytics, and 99% of the event was all about YouTube Shorts. Everything was about YouTube Shorts. Like that's all YouTube was talking about. And then there was sponsors and companies there, and all they wanted to talk about was just YouTube Shorts. And my two friends were talking. They're like, I thought that this was a YouTube convention. Like this feels like a YouTube Shorts convention. And what happened is because of TikTok, there is this unbelievable demand for short form vertical content that's under a minute. And in business is a very basic idea. When there's something that has very high demand but very low supply, that is a market you need to get into. And it's a stupid business decision not to. And so everyone was talking about shorts. And there was like this 19, 20, 21-year-old kids there that had like millions and millions of subscribers. And all of them said this one thing. They're like, post 120 shorts in a month. So post 4 videos every single day and watch what it does to your channel. And I was like, I'm not going to make 4 shorts every single day. And they're like, no, you don't understand. You make one short, you post it onto YouTube, you post it onto Instagram Reels, you post it onto TikTok, and you post it onto Facebook. Those are 4 separate videos. And you just make one every single day for a month and then just do it. Watch what will happen. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll try it. I don't like shorts. I hate shorts. I'll try it. So I tried it last month. So for 30 days, I made one short every single day and I posted it everywhere. And on my YouTube channel, I normally get like 200 views a day. So maybe 6,000, 7,000 views in like with the normal content. And last month I hit like well over 30,000. I hit records for views, records for watch time. I hit records for total subscribe, like everything. It all just blew up. It's because there's a huge demand. And especially for niches like ours, because the vertical format, it's like the popular things are comedy and dancing and I guess music, right? There's not much in the form of motivational speeches or inspirational quotes or like self-improvement. Like that niche market, the supply is like nothing. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to fill that need in the market. And I just started trying it. And I actually love it because it's like this new challenge for me. It's not just these super long form content videos. And I got like all this amazing feedback, especially during my live stream. People are like, oh man, I love your new short videos. Every day I wake up and I have like a little 20-second, 30-second clip of you giving me some motivation to start my day. And I'm like, wow,
Nice.
really? And it's because like the younger generation, they love the short form content. If you go into your analytics, you'll see that, I don't know for you, but for me, it's like more than 60% of my viewership comes from mobile phones, or 70% of the viewership. Like everything comes from a phone, right? So wouldn't it make sense to try the YouTube short stuff? And so from a business point of view, even though I don't like the content, but like from a business point of view, I was like, okay, I'll try it. And by trying it every day for a month, now I just love it. And I'm like, oh man, I love this whole shorts because it also kind of gives me a hedge because we can do this, like this podcast, and I can do my live stream where it's very long form content. We can tell stories, we can get our ideas across, we can go back and forth. And it's completely different than when I make a short and I got to make it 15 seconds or 20. Like it works like a different part of your creative brain. And I really love the variety. So now whenever I tell any of my content creator friends, I'm like, try shorts, like try YouTube shorts. It's like a huge market that like it can only benefit you, right? It can do like amazing things for your channel, and it's something that I highly recommend trying, even if you were like me and it's not something that you'd like to
That's
do.
what I found too. Like for example, for my English channel, I decided not to try shorts because it's just like not fitting the kind of format that I'm doing right now. So I think I'm continuing not to do that on that one. But what I found for the German channels is also it's fun to make those like good edited shorts that are like kind of a little bit with a little bit of attention, with a little bit of information, and packing that information into those 60 seconds. It's interesting because it's not as deep as I want it to be, but it can be quite entertaining and also fun just to work a little bit, and then you have like this finished product of a short that you can upload everywhere, and it's amazing. Yeah, it's I don't know what to think of it, but it's fun, and maybe I'll try the challenge with like uploading every single day for a month, and seeing what it does to the channel. Because like kind of the German channel where I do like this outdoor comedy content with a friend, it's kind of frozen or stagnant. It hit this kind of level. We were also like on a break for, I don't know, a few months because I was gone, and he tried to keep alive, but it was not just working, and now we're just like kind of more losing subscribers than gaining subscribers, even though our content is way more what's the word? It's way more it's just better, like from the editing and the filming and whatever, than my English channel. My English channel, I'm just going for the camera, I'm speaking authentically from my heart, sharing experiences, and it's just blowing up. And there we're like scripting everything, we're editing 30-40 hours of video, and it's just like not doing a lot. And yeah, it's interesting. But with the shorts, that's what we're trying to.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because you gotta sort of have like a balance, right? You want content creation to be fun. You want it to be enjoyable too, right? But also, like for me, like I have no problem saying this, but like one of my biggest goals, and I'm huge on goals. I write down goals in my journal every day. I have like daily goals, monthly goals, yearly goals, and like a life goal. And I've had this one goal for so long where I just want to buy a house for my family, and I want to have a basement, and I want to build a YouTube studio. And from that studio, I just want to do work that I love. Even if it makes no money, I don't give a shit. I just want to do podcasts. I want to talk to interesting people. I want to expand my mindset. I want to do live streams. I just want to have a space where I can do what I love, and that's it. And in order to get that, finances and money plays a huge part in that. So I really enjoy entrepreneurship and business. Like I read a lot of books about business, right? But I'm still very careful to try to balance it out. And it's crazy because I got the house. Like we just got the house, and where I am right now, I'm in my basement, right? And this is going to be like this like studio, and it was years of hard work, of years of writing down. Like I want to, and you know what I used to do? I would drive to like these neighborhoods that I want to live in, and I would push my daughter, who was like a newborn at the time, down the sidewalk, and we look at these houses, and I'd tell my wife, like, I want to live in this neighborhood. Like we're gonna live here in 5 years. And we had like no money. We had like a shitty townhouse that had no air conditioning, and it had no central heating. And it was like 60 years old, and we were struggling. We didn't have any money. Like it was so hard. But I had this life goal. I just wanted to achieve it like so bad. I just want to do work that I love, right? And find a way to, and it's not even like, I don't even want to make like $1 million. Like if I could just make like, I don't know, 40,000 or something to get rid of my day job and just do this, like that would make me so happy, right? To just do something that I want to do. But my goals are very, very specific. I know exactly what I want to do. I know exactly where I want to live, and I know exactly what I want to do, the type of work for the rest of my life. And so I play, or I think about the business of YouTube a lot. And that's why like I'm huge on this idea of doing things that puts you outside of your comfort zone and makes you grow, which is why I started this podcast, and which is why I started the live stream, because those are so much more difficult than hiding behind your video editing software. You can hit record, and if you misspeak or mess up, you can just edit it out, right? Yeah, it's fine, no worries. But this, like, this podcast, I don't edit it. I don't cut anything out. Like what we say now, if I misspeak, if I say something stupid, if I slur my words, or if I interrupt you too much, it's in there, right? And I'm gonna see those mistakes, and it's gonna kill me. Like it just eats a hole in my heart. But it forces me to adapt, and it forces me to grow, and it forces me to improve. And these are things that I think are just so important, especially for content creators. That like maybe if you could do more things that are difficult, and maybe try the YouTube shorts, or try the live stream, or make a second channel, or just try a bunch of different things that makes you uncomfortable, then you can maybe grow this amazing business where you don't have to rely on the corporate world and rely on some other boss to tell you what to do or to give you a paycheck. And I feel like that is it's huge for anyone that wants to have that type of freedom in their life. And for me, that's something that I'm just striving
Exactly.
for.
That's what I'm striving to. I gotta share with you a little secret. I don't know. Maybe it's not good to share, but I am building. I'm like starting to build a building block of a bigger picture thing right now. It's just like the beginning of a beginning of a beginning of a course I want to create. I wanna publish. I want to
do it.
And it's crazy. Like just now I started, and it's like even with the reality check of my travels and this ayahuasca retreat, I was just so humbled, and so I just realized like how much I'm just at the beginning of psychedelic exploration. I'm just at the beginning of getting to know myself on these deeper levels, journeying to these deeper realms, facing death, and just like so much stuff that I'm just at the very beginning at. So I'm humbled with that. And so I'm just like, I want to create the best comprehensive course about, I don't know, psychedelic preparation and integration that's out there, that has ever existed and that will ever exist. And that's a huge project. It's not just a project just to make a living or to make some money, but it's like now it's a project of the heart that I focus on. And I'm just beginning to study cellular neurobiology just to understand how psychedelics work on the brain. Just like shit I don't want to do. I don't want to learn this stuff. It's hard for me to learn, to sit down and to study that stuff, but I gotta grow myself and grow my knowledge to get into the position of being able to share everything in a comprehensive manner in a course that I want to create. So that's a little side project that I'm doing, besides like following along with my life purpose of like psychedelic facilitation and doing that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
maybe it's going to take like 2, 3, 4 years. I have so many like ideas of what to implement and what I could implement there. And it's like a big project, even just like implementing interviews with shamans from all around the world. I got to work my 9-to-5 jobs, go travel to those places to get the interviews, to put them into the course or whatever. I don't know how it's going to unfold yet, but like so many great ideas of how to do it. And I'm gonna buy every single course that's kind of similar. There aren't that many in that area, in that niche, but I'm gonna buy every single one, no matter how many thousands of euros it costs, just to look what's in there, look how they've done it, look what's missing, look how the reviews are, just to create the best possible thing for the world, just to be of service in that niche. Yeah, that's a little side project. I'm a little goal that I'm working on.
Oh, I love it, man. No, that's good. Like creating a course it's such a smart idea, because if you think about what we do as content creators, it's almost as if we're educators, but we're teachers, right? You can think about like a teacher at a school. They're at the front of the room, they're projecting their voice towards students, they're telling them things, they're teaching them things. We're basically doing the exact same thing to our camera lenses, right? We're a form of education where we're helping people, right? But that's assuming if it comes from a place of authenticity, which from you, like with the whole psychedelic stuff, for sure. If all of a sudden you made a course talking about like NASCAR or something, I'd be like, what the hell are you doing, right? But if you're making a course about like psychedelics and how to use it, and dosages and what to expect, and what experiences that you've gone through, like that alone is so valuable. Because even for someone like me, like I am an extreme novice when it comes to psychedelics. I'm a huge supporter. I am a consumer as well. But in terms of what I know and my knowledge, I don't know anything, dude. Like like the knowledge that I have is like nothing. I can't tell if this mushroom is good or what type of mushroom is that. Oh, this is golden teacher. You can tell by the spots on it. Okay, I don't know anything. Like literally, I know nothing. It's because it's so hard to get that like type of knowledge or guide that's trustworthy. But if you make a course like that and it comes from your authentic self, from a place of passion and love, and your audience can see that, like, oh man, I feel like that would be so valuable. Even just like showing people like, okay, this is a microdose, this is what you can expect. This is a normal dose. This is like what you might want to expect. Maybe you want to sit here, and this is a heroic dose. Like this is where you need to be very careful. You need to have all these things and blah 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 blah. Because no one teaches you these things, right? You can't. No one teaches you that, oh, if you take a 5-gram mushroom trip, you might need a sitter because you might go ape shit and wander out in the street or something, right? Like no one tells you these type of things. So I feel like if you make a course centered around like your passion, man, I feel like that's such a good thing to do. Not just like a business sense, like business, it's very smart to do that, but just from like, doing something that you love and from coming from your authentic self, I feel like that's such a good decision to do.
And it's humbling just to realize how much, and just the very, very, very beginning, it's so crazy, like how, because it's psychedelics especially, it's such a vast field, and the kind of experiences that you could have are so like complex and flexible, and it's just such a variety, such complexity in them. I'm just reading a book from Stanislav Grof now, who's done like hundreds of high dose LSD therapy sessions, and he's describing crazy experiences from his patients and what people experience that I have never even touched on, experienced in my psychedelic journeys. So it's interesting, and I gotta be really like cautious and careful of how to go about it, because it's such a complex field and a kind of new topic for research and for sharing information, and also it could like cause harm to some people.
Yeah, that's true. It could if someone doesn't know how to properly use the medication. But aside from the course, have you thought about starting a newsletter?
No,
by
not
any
yet.
chance?
I mean, I'm gonna do when I'm
Do it.
when I'm like working on the course. I'm gonna like everything is gonna build so slowly, like building the website, maybe even building a blog, doing a newsletter. Or you think I could do a newsletter without a website? Because first I gotta like have the idea for the website, I think, and create the website, and like have my goal now is to focus fully on that course, to just have something in my hands. That's what I read too about in a business book. It's like first you gotta like have the product and like kind of prove that the product works before you go out and have the audience. I mean, having the audience and the marketing is good, like on that side. But for example, now I'm also thinking about like, okay, when I talk in my videos, like where people can go, like at the end of the video, okay, you can join my Facebook group, you can follow me on Instagram, you can like whatever. Now I just created a PayPal, so you can donate via PayPal. It's like those are the calls to action, but I don't have the course yet. So if a video blows up long term, it doesn't contain the information of me having the course. So that's kind of unfortunate. So I want to have something, and then maybe start on and go on with the newsletter, the website, and promoting it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm big on the newsletter because I heard this piece of advice once. It's that even if you are a content creator, you're still never truly going to be free, because you're still going to rely on these platforms. And one of the smartest business decisions you can make is to create a newsletter. Because if you think about like, I don't know, MySpace or Vine or even like Snapchat, these are all trendy social media platforms that came, they're really popular, and now they're gone. And even though I'm extremely bullish on YouTube, I feel like YouTube is the future, but there's still no guarantee that it could be here 5 years, 10 years, or even 20 years from now, right? These social media platforms could go away, right? They could disappear. Or what if they decide, oh, we're not going to allow videos talking about psychedelics anymore. We're going to demonetize and ban them all. Then like you're going to get screwed over, right? And so in business, one of the best things you should do is you don't have to build a website, but just start the newsletter and start collecting people's emails, because then there is no third party like blocking that interaction, right? So what I did, I started the newsletter, and I've only done like 4 or 5 of them, and it's just easy. You can just write about whatever, and slowly people will subscribe. And now you have that connection with, if YouTube were to go away, or Instagram, or any of these platforms, I still have this connection to my core audience, where YouTube or Google or Facebook, they could never take that away from me now, because I own that direct connection to my people. Whereas if YouTube canceled my account, and now I can't reach my 2,000 subscribers anymore, right? And so this one, and not just one person, but I've heard so many times, is collect the emails, start the newsletter, or start the website. And then you don't have to have the course. You can just be like, all right, guys, I'm starting my bi-weekly or monthly newsletter, and I'll talk about future video ideas that might come up, or maybe future streams, or I might talk about what type of mushroom I'm going to try next month, or this DMT trip that I might like. You can talk about anything, and I feel like you start it now, and you can slowly build up that skill, because newsletter is just like YouTube. In the beginning, it's going to be shit. It's going to suck. You're going to have, no one's going to read it, right? But if you just keep doing it, you're going to keep getting better and better and better. And then when you have the course, you can promote it in your newsletter, and it goes directly to your people, right? I feel like that's one of the best things in business is to start the newsletter. And there's ways that you can do it for free. You don't have to do it like how I did it. I got a Squarespace account. I paid for hosting. I paid for all this shit, right? But that's because I have this bigger dream where I want to write a book. Like I want to write a book, and I want to sell like an audio book where I speak, where I talk, or I read it, and I want to sell like the PDF or .mobi file. Like these are things that I want to own on my website, that I sell to my people, where no one else can control any of that traffic, right? And so like you could do that too if you want, or you can just start like a free one. But I highly recommend like just start the newsletter and build those connections where you don't rely on the social media
thanks for
platforms.
the recommendation. I've read it too in many business books, and I've heard it from many people now. Maybe it's time to start, because especially with those psychedelics, it's possible, it's highly possible, and it already happened to a bunch of channels, that they are demonetized, banned, or even deleted. Like it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, and also like think about YouTube and all these platforms. They're in big tech, and big tech is like super progressive, super liberal. They want equality. People complain about stuff. They shut it down. So it's like you walk like a very fine line, because things are very sensitive on the left side of politics, especially with big tech companies, where it's like, they're really against like anything with kids, right? With kids, you instantly get demonetized. And like I've had videos where I had pictures of myself as a child. Like these are my pictures of me, and YouTube automatically disables the comment section.
Crazy.
Like I had no choice. They just automatically, it's disabled. They don't allow any comments on videos that show kids. And I'm like, I'm not showing a picture of myself in a negative light. It's just me as a child in Bermuda smiling, but it's on camera. But nope. Instantly comments all blocked, and it gets flagged right away about a video about children. And I'm like, that's like a little rough, right? And even yesterday I got flagged again for making a video titled create 100 shitty videos. And the intent is start a YouTube channel, make 100 shitty videos, and you'll get better over time. But I got flagged because I used the word shitty, right? And it's like, oh, advertisers don't like profanity, so this video is going to be limited monetization. Like, the word shitty?
Yeah.
Really?
Come on.
Like, am I hurting someone's feelings with that? So I'm like, I'm very wary, even though like I love YouTube, I love social media, like I'm a huge supporter. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I need to make sure that at the end of the day, some form of this is what I own 100%, right? This is like the podcast is something I own, right? The live stream, I can do it anywhere, and the newsletter and the website is mine. Like, it's mine, and Google doesn't own any part of that. And no matter what happens, I'll always have that thing, right? That I can do and reach out to my people. And it's something that, and like you said, a lot of business people, a lot of content creators, say start the newsletter, but like do it. Just do it, dude. Like just start the newsletter, no matter how shit it is in the beginning. And trust me, you won't regret
thanks.
it. I know, man. I want to see the psychedelic actualization course being promoted in your newsletter. Let's go. I'll be your first. I'll be your first reader.
You're gonna.
Let me know when you make it.
You're gonna get the course for free, maybe.
Dude, I would legit want to, like, not just because I'm talking to you. Like, if there was like a this is what I use whenever I do mushrooms. There's this post on Reddit where this guy wrote this huge paragraph relabeled like 0.5 gram trip, 1 gram, and he wrote like a little paragraph for each dosage, and he talked about like what you will expect, and if you need to sit, or if you'll experience ego death, or if you're going to experience hallucinations, and he kind of like went into detail and described each dose. And I found that like super informative for someone like me who's like a noob. I'm basically a noob, right? I'm a recreational user that likes to expand my mind and use mushrooms and microdosing to help my writing and creativity, right? But at the end of the day, I have nowhere near the knowledge that you have, for example, right? I don't know any of this stuff. And something as simple as a little chart like that from Reddit, it's so beneficial for me because I've gone back to it like 20, 30. I haven't I haven't bookmarked the site, but I have that. I know exactly how to find it. And I feel like if you have that for ayahuasca or DMT or LSD or mushrooms or marijuana or whatever, like even just that core simple idea alone in the form of education, it would be so beneficial to so many people.
That's what I plan to do. So I think we don't have that much time left. I mean, we're talking like 1.5 hours now. What do you want to talk about? Like you want to hear about some psychedelic experiences, or more about the travels, or more about YouTube, self-improvement, philosophy, spirituality? It's so much to talk about. I mean, we could talk about
I know,
for
dude,
hours on end. We could talk so much, I think.
I have a heroic mushroom trip that I wanted to talk to you about one day. It was like I experienced not only ego death, but I experienced like the death of a child in the form of my daughter. And even though I know that it wasn't real, it was part of the experience. But in the moment, you can't distinguish reality and what's not real. And that pain, it hit me so hard. Like I started like bawling my eyes out, right? And it's wild because I was sitting on a dock by the water with 3 other guys, and some lady came by and a boat was like waving and pointing at me if I was okay, and I was just like tripping my balls off, right? But it was like, man, like there was like one of the first times I had like a true heroic dose where I couldn't tell that it's not real. But even though the experience, like, and now, even though right now I know it wasn't real, I know it never happened, I know my daughter's upstairs right now, I can hear her walking around, but I'm never gonna lose that feeling of what it's like to lose a child. And I felt that, and it's that feeling. I know what it feels like because I believed it. I thought it was real in the moment. And I was like, holy shit, like this was like one of the most transformative moments I've ever had with mushroom, because it made me like really appreciate being a father, right? And really appreciate my daughter more. And I was like, every father out there, I'm like, they need to do a heroic dose of mushrooms. I feel like that will make you a better parent, right? And that was like one of the most life transformative moments I've ever had, and I plan on making a video about it because I wrote down in my phone like a trip report right after I was coming down. I wrote down everything, and I went into like the mushroom underworld, and there was these mushroom deities like chanting at me and judging me for being a bad father. Like it was dark, dude. It was freaking dark. Like, and I wrote down like a huge paragraph, and I got about 3/4 of the trip down. For whatever reason, the end, the come down, I think I might have just like lost my mind and I just might have forgot writing it down. But I have the trip report written in my phone, and I want to talk about that in a video. So maybe when I do, I'll send it to you.
I'm gonna see it. It sounds intense. It sounds intense because in those experiences, it feels so real, and it is real. That is the reality that you're experiencing in that moment, and it's intense, and sometimes it's so dark and hardcore. So, and some of those experiences, I mean, it sounds like you've kind of integrated this intense experience, and it made you kind of more compassionate, maybe towards other parents, and like, yeah, it taught you a lot about yourself, and maybe even the appreciation that your daughter is alive. But it put you face to face with the fear of losing your daughter at such a young age, maybe. And it's so many facets of those dark experiences that at first, or in the experience itself, it seems traumatizing and dark and negative. But on retrospect, and when we look at it, when we write everything down, and then we try to integrate it, and we kind of can start to see the lessons and integrate the lessons that this experience has taught us, and that is what is bringing on this transformation in us. Wow, intense. Thanks for sharing. Crazy.
Yeah, man. But you know what I'm talking about, though, right? Where it's like you can't distinguish between reality and what's not, but because the experience is in the moment, you believe it 100%, and you believe it with all your heart. Even though the experience wasn't real, it still doesn't change the fact that you know what that feeling feels like. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
And I even disagree. I think from my perspective, what I believe is that those experiences are real. Even though now, after this experience, your daughter's alive. In this moment, she was dead for you. That's like you were convinced, and you were experiencing that truth and that reality. So I had a similar thing in my ayahuasca ceremony, where I was convinced that I was dying right now. It's like out of the context of the ceremony, I forgot that I took ayahuasca. I forgot that I was in that ceremony room with the shaman, whatever. I forgot that everything. I forgot everything. And then there was just this moment of truth of like, okay, you're gonna die right now, and here, like, do whatever you want, like, handle it now. And then I was going through the motions like 4 hours, and I was convinced that I was dying, like 100% convinced. And it's intense, and it was also traumatizing for me. And in those experiences, it is kind of so real, and I believe it is the reality that we're experiencing. And then,
it feels like reality for me because it still affects me to this day. Like if I have a moment where my daughter does something and she throws or breaks something or makes a mess or like whatever, like say she does something and it annoys me or pisses me off, I still remember like you need to be thankful for what you have because it could be taken away from you in like such a split second. And it's weird because I was paranoid after the mushroom trip. Like when I would go to the grocery store with my daughter, I was always looking around. I was like always looking around at other guys. I'm like, is there any like child kidnappers here? Is there any like child molester? Like it was crazy. Like my mindset as a parent, it just went from like 0 to like 1,000. Like it just went full parental reptile brain where you just want to protect your young. And it was a very strange experience because it affected me after the trip, and after the trip was done, it still stuck with me, and I still have these thoughts from time to time as a parent. And it's like it's so interesting because like I said, like it happened in the past, but it's still like a teacher, it's like a reminder to me
Yeah.
to be
It's a-
better, be a good father,
Yeah.
be a better dad,
It's
right?
a constant, it's an
constant
ongoing
reminder.
integration. That's what I had with this ayahuasca ceremony too, because I always thought on my journey, like death was never like a topic for me. And then in this experience, I was face to face with my fear of death, and I was never aware of my fear of death. I was like, I'm okay with dying right now. It's like I lived so much. I enjoyed. I had so many nice experiences, even though I'm young. I would be fine with dying right now. That was my point of view. And then ayahuasca was like, oh, you're really fine with dying right now. Okay, here's the situation. You're dying right now. And then I was face to face with the reality that there's a fear of death. I gotta work through. Okay, thank you, medicine, for showing me my fear of death. It was terrifying. It was horrible. It was such an intense experience. And now I know. I still have like when I think about that ayahuasca ceremony, I have like a feeling of fear in my heart that I was like, okay, first maybe I gotta go and work a little bit on my fear of death, and then I can go into these higher ceremonies again. That's also the point where I stepped back a little bit from the psychedelics, which I was never thought I do, because I was always pushing a little bit further, pushing a little bit further to explore those realms. And I was like in the mindset of I have such a strong mind, I have such a deep ability to surrender, and that is still the case. But this ayahuasca ceremony showed me it's like, okay, like go slowly. It's like, because I was there, and I was there to push the boundaries. I was there to see how far I could go. And that was the point where I was like, okay, even at one point in the ceremony I was like, I'm never gonna do psychedelics ever again in my life. This is too much for me. It's like, no. This is way too crazy. This is way too intense. This is way too real. It's like, no. And then after a few days I was like, okay, I'm going down. It's like, but it humbled me so much. It's like a doubt in my path. It's like, because I was going to this ayahuasca retreat with the intention of like, maybe I'm gonna volunteer there, maybe I'm gonna work for this retreat, see how it is to provide for the medicine, see how it is to do hundreds of ceremonies, just to journey deeper and whatever. And it's like after the 7th night I was like, okay, 8 ceremonies, 14 days done, ciao. I'm gonna be off into whatever. It's like maybe I'm gonna come back. And now still, like, I'm at home and I've got the desire kind of to go into higher dose mushroom ceremonies, higher dose LSD ceremonies, DMT breakthroughs, 5-MeO DMT salvia, but I haven't even touched the higher doses and the deeper dimensions yet, because even though, like, even when I smoke a little bit of DMT, sometimes I get reminded of being on the edge of like this letting go into death, and then this kind of terror of the experience of the ayahuasca comes back. And it's like so interesting that this traumatizing experience that was terrifying and horrible in and of itself is now, I don't see it as a negative experience. I see it as a positive, valuable experience that has shown me my fear of death and my doubt of going deeper into these journeys. And it's something that I can work on now. It's something that I can integrate. So I just bought the Tibetan Book of the Dead just to see, like, okay, what is that thing death all about? Like, what is it all about? And it's like, study it, integrate it, and then slowly journey deeper again. But it also reminded me again and again, it happens again and again, but this was the most intense reminder of like, okay, gotta stay humble, gotta like put everything and to practice surrender to the point where you can let go everything. And letting go everything it was so hard for me. Letting go of my whole life, of my existence, was so horrible. And I think now in retrospect, I did a good job of letting go into the feeling of, into the experience of death. But at one point I was like, a point was reached where I was like, no, okay, till here, not further. It's like I lost I was losing consciousness in the experience, and that in the context of dying right now. And it was so terrifying. That was the point where I couldn't fully surrender into it. I was like, okay, stop right now. I can be aware of dying for the next 4 hours, no problem, but please let me be aware of my death. Like, I don't want to lose consciousness because that would mean death, right? And that was the jump I couldn't do. But yeah, I'm gonna try to do in the future. It's terrifying, but so interesting, because that is like, as Joseph Campbell said, it's like the cave you fear holds the treasure you seek. It's like, yeah, I love that quote.
Oh,
it's like,
wow. The cave you fear
Right.
holds the treasure
yeah,
you
it's
seek.
like the
Jesus.
fears we gotta look into. That's where the answer lies. Because on the other side, I think, yeah, I don't know what's on the other side, but what I've experienced, a couple of experiences on the other side, is just truth and love and goodness and peace, and that is like the ultimate.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's crazy, bro. That the fear of death. You know what's crazy about that? I used to always have an active fear of death because I always wanted. I love life, right? Like I love conversations and people and friends and family. Like I love everything, and I don't want to miss out on any of these more possible experiences we have. But I remember, like, I heard a quote from Confucius once, and he said that all men have two lives, and the second one starts when we realize you only have one, right? And I was like, holy shit, like that's so true. We just have one life, right? And when it ends, right? And the best thing that you can do is just, again, be present, enjoy the journey, and just enjoy everything as you can, and don't fear it, right? As best you can. Like, try not to fear death. And it was something that I actively was always scared of. I was always, man, always, when am I gonna die? But now I'm like, you know what? Just when it happens, and just live out the journey and just love every day. And that's how I try to live my life now.
Exactly.
Or at least I try to.
Gratitude is just a key point. I realize in my journeys over and over again. Yeah, I did a little 5-MeO ceremony, 5-MeO DMT ceremony, the toad venom, and it was just a very light experience, and I was just like on my knees crying because of the gratitude for being alive. It's like, and also I was feeling kind of ashamed because on my travels, like on a couple of weeks or locations, I was not grateful. I was not present. I was like always on the urge of like seeing, going further, going into the future. Oh, when are we going to be in the Amazon? It's going to be great. Then we were there. Oh, when we're going to be there, it's going to be great. Oh, when we're going to be there, it's going to be great. But never really present and grateful. I mean, also that, but sometimes not. And that experience just unfolded and made me cry out so much in the love of life, and in just like this feeling of gratitude is so important, just to be present and grateful for every experience, for the highs and the lows, the peaks and the valleys, for just everything. And that gratitude, I carry that on, and I try to integrate it and practice it every day, just to be grateful for existence.
Yeah, I keep a gratitude journal. And like not every day, but like generally every day I like to write down like my goals for the day, my to-do list for the day, and what's my one big goal for my life. And then under that I write like a really simple, today I am grateful for, and then I fill in the blank, right? And I was always like, what's the point of this? This seems kind of silly, because it always kept being the same thing. Well, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful. But then you realize it's like, you know, I'm grateful to be alive. Right? I'm grateful to have friends that are alive. I'm grateful that my parents are alive. And then it's like, man, because some people don't have that, right? And then if you don't practice gratitude, then you just take everything in your life for granted. If you never think about it, right? And I was like, man, I gotta keep doing the gratitude journal, because I made a video on it as like a 30-day challenge, like just to try it out. But I was like, man, this is so beneficial. And it was something that to this day I still do on a regular basis.
And when you practice it, you get
huge,
better
right?
at it, and then you kind of go a little bit further, and you're like, okay, I'm grateful for family, friends, and then I was like, oh, I'm grateful for this flower right here. I'm grateful for the smell of the flower. I'm grateful for the sound of the bees, and then you practice and you get into the mastery of it, and you notice more little things that you also take for granted most of the time, and you appreciate them, and you not just write down that you're grateful for it, but also you kind of try to tap into the feeling of it, of feeling the gratitude in your body and in your mind and in your soul. And that's like when the real magic happens for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what's funny too? It's like, I remember one day my gratitude journal, like it almost cured my road rage. Because I remember one day I was like, oh, I'm grateful that I have a car that I can just drive to my work. I don't have to walk because it would take an hour. And then I was like in my car driving to work. I was like super chill for some reason. Guys were cutting me off and dudes weren't signaling. It was like crazy. And I was like, normally I'd be raging, right? I'd be like, oh, what the heck is wrong with you? But then I was just like super mellow because in that morning I was like practicing gratitude. I'm grateful that, it's so easy. I just get in the car, 20 minutes, I'm at work. It's so easy. I have it so good, right? So now I'm like, I use that again as a little reminder, when someone cuts me off on the highway and I want to rage and just let it go, right? There's bigger things in life. And it's like, again, every day, practicing gratitude, writing it down. It's like huge, man. I never thought that gratitude would be a big thing. Like I know lifting weights, exercise, meditation, like fat, like I know all these things, but I'm like, gratitude? That's going to make a change in my life? Really? I thought it was bullshit, to be perfectly honest. But I'm like, nah, now I do it every day.
It definitely does.
It works, dude. I love it. That's awesome. All right, dude, I got to end the pod soon. I got to book it. I got some family stuff to do. But let's make the podcast like a yearly thing, man. I love our conversations about life, and also in between, so much happens, right? I can like see the growth in you, and you see the changes in me. Like it's just like a cool thing, and I also love to promote other content creators' work that I believe in, and your channel is one that even to be perfectly honest, I don't watch it all the time. I don't follow all the videos, but when I do, I see the love, I see the passion, I see the authenticity, and I hope that one day that this podcast can grow or blow up, and then I can use this platform to promote the content creators that I care about and the ones that I love.
Thanks.
And you're definitely one of them, bro.
I'm also going to post this on my community tab, just supporting each other, just having this conversation, just like sharing insights, life lessons and experiences. It's so amazing. Just like the conversation in and of itself is valuable for the both of us, and then hopefully for somebody else too. But thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, I love it. All right, guys, check out Vergo's channel. It's Psychedelic Actualization on YouTube. I think you have an Instagram page and a Facebook group as well. So everyone that's listening to this or watching, go follow your boy. I love his videos, and his work is awesome. So thanks, dude. This was great chatting, and we'll do it again.